There's the Annie hello dance. What's going on? It's all happening. So Mike Padurano and Annie Leib here. I know you haven't seen us recently, so we wanted to come on and finally say hello. There's been a really long pause of no time that you haven't seen us. We are currently on a world tour. We've ended living with Annie-tude as we've evolved into the Soul Center Experience Live. We are on a world tour right now, visiting a ton of people's streams. But tonight we are on mine. This is the final transition show until the beginning of the Soul Center Experience Live, which launches next week. It's all very exciting. It's getting a lot of attention and talk out there in the world of LinkedIn. And we want to tell you a little bit about, if you haven't heard, what we're doing. Right, Mike?
Yes.
That's all he's giving me.
Yep.
Yes. All right. I usually like when he starts, but I'm gonna bite the bullet on this one. Okay. So we are, like I said, I've evolved from living with Annie-tude. I'll always have Annie-tude, and that will always be a piece of me. But we're leaving that behind. It's the end of an era, and we are slipping into the Soul Center and the Soul Center Experience Live show. And we created something together called the Breath Framework, and that is what we work on with people when we do our coaching, guiding, mentoring, leading, whatever it is that we want to call it, because we're not crazy about that word. And the reason that we called it breath was actually, oh my God, hi, Sadia, yay. So I got my MBA with Sadia. We non-graduated during COVID last year, and now she's here. We were out to dinner the other night, and guess what happened? We got told to be quiet at the restaurant.
How shocking.
No, but there was a lot of people there, and the guy came over and he goes, I imitated him to Sammy. He comes over and he goes, excuse me, can you ladies keep it down? We were like, I was so mortified, but we were like, sorry. So anyway, that's my girl. So we created something called the Breath Framework, but let me tell you the story of the word breath first. So in 2014, in some of my darkest times of my life, and when I've seen and touched the darkness, the days when I wished that the sun wouldn't come up because I didn't want to see another day, I split from my now ex-husband in 2014, and we got divorced in 2015, and I was reading a poem by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and it said something about breath. I thought this was at 7:30. It is 7:30, Brad. 7:30 Eastern. So, hi, Patrick. How you doing? So I saw this poem, right? And I thought, you know what? You can strip me of everything. I'm at my lowest low that I've ever been, totally rock bottom. You can strip me of everything, but you can't take my breath. That's mine. So I got it tattooed on my hip. Really under the bikini line so no one could see, it was just for me, and written in my writing. So that was then. So fast forward to us meeting and all of these serendipitous things happening, and I'll let you tell that part of the story because it's so awesome. But I will tell you that happened March of 2020, and some major things happened in Mike's life. And then, hi, Brad, some major things went on in my life, and we sort of crashed into one another, gradually crashed. And as we grew, as our friendship developed and our relationship developed, we came up with something that mirrors both of our journeys. So, hi, Silver Fox, what's up? We came up with something called, hi, Patrick, doing well, alleviating unemployment and reducing poverty. Love it. We came up with the Breath Framework, and this mirrors our journeys both together and separately. And we walk through this with our clients when we coach them. Breath stands for begin where you are. R is reclaim your power. E is excavate your core values. A is allow, not control. T is through, not around. And H is for heal or healing. So that is the perfect word because of what it means to me. And then there's another part of the journey that has recently happened when we both stepped into our soul centers, which is after, we can explain that a little later, but after being heart-centered, you become soul-centered, which is what we've discovered that we are now finally. And there's a word that between us is really, really special. I've said this on some other shows, but you can hear the story again. So one time I was talking to Mike, God knows what we were talking about because we talk all the time. And he said, Yeah, oh, totally. That's for real. He goes, emes. And I said, what did you say? And he said, emes. I said, how do you know that word? So that's a Yiddish word that means truth. So in my family, being Yiddish, it was said in my family, but I never heard anybody else use the word ever. So when he said that, it was like, what? And it was like this automatic craziness of how did you know that word? And it was just, so anyway, as I stepped into my soul center, I got this tattooed on my wrist, and it says emes, which means truth in Hebrew, on my wrist. Emet is actually the Hebrew. Emes is Yiddish. So we have stepped into, I feel, I don't want to speak for you. I will, but I don't want to. We have stepped into our soul centers and our truth, and that's the journey that we are taking people on to get to a place of fulfillment, of peace, of wholeness, of joy. Because I have this thing with the word happiness. It doesn't mean I don't believe in happiness. I just think it's not a state of mind. It comes in moments that you can grasp onto, but you're not always happy. You're just not. That's not life. But you can always be whole. If you do this work that we have both done and we continue to do and evolve to do, you work on yourself through that breath framework, you can find yourself in a place of oneness, wholeness, peace, fulfillment. Here you go. There's the stage.
So my life has been chaos. So, it's my whole life leading up to this last few months has been absolute chaos, and I lived and thrived and wanted to create chaos so that I felt comfortable, because it's the only way I knew how to be comfortable. I also wanted to stay miserable, because that's how I knew how to stay comfortable, also, with being miserable and in chaos. So I went out of my way to always create chaos, and chaos always found me, because that's what I was putting out there, and that's what I attracted. So last February, I got physical evidence that my children were being abused. I was in South Florida, and they were in Arkansas. Within 3 days, I got in my car and drove from South Florida to Arkansas with $3.47 in my account. And I just knew that I had to find a way to get him. I stopped at the FBI in Atlanta because I didn't trust local anything here after my experiences that I had with them. So I wanted it to cross state lines, so it was an international, so that it was a national case, not a state case. And there's a paper trail, which is nice. I had a child advocate in Atlanta who scheduled a meeting, and we went through all that. And at the end of the day, it was passed along to the state anyway, but at least it was across state lines. I ended up within an hour of my children, and hired a lawyer, and was there for 11 days. And each day that I was there, I got worse and worse. I was posting videos on LinkedIn. I was miserable. I wanted to be dead. I shame, blame, and guilted myself horribly. It was one of the lowest moments of my life, and it was pain outside of pain I've ever felt before in my life, because it wasn't pain for me, it was pain for my children, knowing the abuse that they were going through every single day, and I wasn't able to stop it. On March 3rd, I posted a video that was horrendous, that I was in really bad shape, and Annie saw it and connected with me. And on the 5th of March, she sent me a message: everything is going to be all right soon, or everything's going to work out soon. Now, keep in mind, March 5th, when I heard that message, I was probably at the lowest I think I've ever been. And I don't know why, but a complete stranger reaching out to me when I had lots of people trying to support me, and it wasn't getting through. It just wasn't getting through to me. But when she reached out and said it, it made an instant impact. Instant. And March 6th, I ended up getting the court order and got my kids. And that's where my 16-month adventure has started from. I'm still in Arkansas, still waiting on court dates. They keep spreading them out 5 months at a clip, which is nice. And they keep getting pushed back between COVID and my soon-to-be ex-wife, my kid's mother, that can't keep a lawyer for obvious reasons. And it's this adventure got started that day, and I sunk into this enormous depression. And for the next couple months, I was absolutely miserable. I just guilted, blamed, shamed, hated myself, despised myself, um, thought I was failing at everything, just trying to even take care of them. For the first month, we were in a motel room with both of them, with both of them, with all three of my kids. My daughter had lice so bad that everyone had them, even me. I didn't figure that one out because I don't know where they went, but I had them. I remember waking up and picking them off my head. So, I mean, I really don't understand that, but they were there. They were looking for the hair just like I do. But sometime in early May, I ended up getting blood work done, getting my meds adjusted. My thyroid was way out of whack, and I started slowly coming out of this depression. A year ago today, when George Floyd was murdered, I reached out to Gabe and said we had to do anti-racism roundtables. Now, me and Annie, or Annie and I, or I'm sure I'm saying it backwards and wrong, but that's okay. We slightly communicated a little bit after I got my kids. I sent her pictures of the kids, all those things, yada, yada. And then when I was in my deep depression, she was going through her life, and there was just a lot of stuff going on at the time. She was finishing up school and everything else. And then when we decided to do the round tables, Gabe said to me, why don't we have Annie on it? And I said, that's great. And we started communicating almost daily towards the end of May. And by the time the event happened, the first round table, we were communicating daily. And it was an instant bond, something I've never felt before. It was really surreal. We were really connected right from the get-go. About halfway through June, she introduced me to Brene Brown and said, "You're pretty friggin' broken. You might want to look at this."
I think I was a little nicer than that.
You're probably nicer than that, but
But I told you, I said, you have to do this. This is what you have to do.
And I did, and I really did, and I did it in extreme detail, to the utmost. Hey, Katie J, love you, buddy. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate it. Thanks, DJ. So I started working on the Brene Brown stuff, and I burned through it. I just every day was just my addictions were just in high gear, and I just got addicted to healing. I did all the emotional work I never did in my life. I was sober 14 years at the time, and I never did all the emotional work. So I did it all. I kept doing it and digging and digging and digging. And I remember sending Annie videos of me burning the papers afterwards, because for me, I needed that
Closure.
I needed the closure, right? And I need the visualization. I needed to manifest it physically, to see it and feel it. And I mean, I must have burned thousands of pages. It was insane. Like, it was crazy. I mean, I had many 5-subject notebooks that I went through, just going through the book the first time.
Time out. I have to say one thing. You told me from the beginning, I don't read books and I don't write.
Right.
That's what you told me.
Yes,
I was like, all right, well, take your I don'ts, shove them where the sun doesn't shine, and you're getting the books, listen to them on audio, fine, and you're going to start writing. I was tough love. I was like, this is no more of this sitting in your shit. Enough.
Yes.
I was a little tough, I think.
Yes, you were. And it's okay, because I needed it at that time. And it turned into this enormous journey, because I went from doing that, I went into trauma therapy, trigger therapy, group trigger therapy, group trauma therapy, met my new spiritual guide, one that I work with weekly just about, and my whole life just went through this enormous transformation. The way I describe it is I went from being mind-centered, almost on autopilot for so many years, which is just being action and reactionary, and just living in that mode, to becoming
self-preservation.
All for self-preservation, being very deeply heart-centered, tied into my emotions, having tremendous empathy. All my spiritual abilities came back, my healing, my true empathic abilities, my clairvoyance, they all started coming back full force. And it just went on this journey of everywhere and everything. And I'm still on it. right? Like I'm still working on it daily, and it's a daily adventure. But at some point towards the end of last year, I identified my core values. It was sometime in December, I think, that I truly identified them in the most analytical way possible, by the way, because I broke them down into 4 categories. I had to align it. It had to make sense in my head. It was the most crazy way of doing it. And once I knew what they were, it was kind of like, how do I step into them? And for me, it was the absolute hardest thing I've ever done in my life, because for me to step into my core values, which my overarching is truth, my truth in general, and then you have transparency, blunt honesty, clear communication, and the list goes on. I mean, perpetual growth and all these different things, and unconditional love and so on. Like, for me to do that meant that I had to own things and be accountable for things that people probably never would have found out. And it put me in situations where I was really willing to lose people out of my life that meant so much to me by being honest with them. And that was the moment I stepped into it. There was one last person in my life that I needed to own stuff with. And when I did that, and I was willing to lose that person from my life forever, that is when I truly stepped into my core values. From that day forward, it was sometime in January, I've just been on this path and mission of self-fulfillment, living in peace, in my internal peace, and just being comfortable in my own skin and truly thriving at it. And that's not something I was ever good at, ever. It was one of the most difficult, unusual, uncomfortable feelings I've ever felt. Because as much as Annie doesn't think happiness is a state of mind, I gotta say, for the first probably 45 to 60 days, I was pretty friggin' happy. Like, I was living this spiritual high of finally stepping into my true self and just being. And now there's been bumps in the road since then. There's always more lessons and learning and everything else. But through this process, I've learned how to adapt and adjust on the spot. And with Annie being my accountability partner, I'm hers. And we help each other daily, and we're always, working together and putting things in place to help others. From that part of it, there's a bond, first of all, that's unbreakable. But then there's this surreal feeling of when we're both in line and in our core values, there's magic that happens because we're truly in flow with ourselves, with the universe together. And that's how we've truly created all of this. And it truly is a divine purpose. It's about elevating humanity to find their own personal fulfillment. So, and that's what we've been doing. And it's been this amazing process.
I mean, the cool part of it is the fact that it has mirrored our journeys. So we have both, we love you, DJ. Hi, everybody. Thanks for stopping in. Yes, so much yes. Adam, you're such a good supporter. So the fact that, our paths have mirrored one another's is so crazy to think about. I mean, our childhoods and going through our adulthood and numbing ourselves and using escapisms and addictions and having mental health stuff and just dealing with a lot of the same stuff, and then coming out of this during a time when a lot of people were hibernating. A lot of people were throwing their hands up and saying, it's COVID, I can't do anything. This is when we built this sort of our little empire here of helping other people and helping them find fulfillment just as we have. So during some of the, hello, Alicia, good to see you. Aloha. Hi, I don't know who this is because it says LinkedIn user. I never know. But so, that journey we've paralleled one another, and, the friendship and bond that's grown has been remarkable. And the fact that this is really happening, this isn't, going into Soul Center and creating the soul center and making the groups that we're making and coaching the clients that we're coaching and possibly adding someone to our team and just expanding the way we are. And it's building really quickly and rapidly but well-intentioned. Everything we've done has been intentional. And that's because we took our time growing in this. And it was not easy. This isn't an easy journey. This is not for the faint of heart, I would say, at all. If you are open and ready and willing, that's different. That's amazing. That's wonderful. That is, something that's really remarkable. And I commend everybody that comes to us and says, we want to go on that journey with you. But we are here to partner with you, just as we've partnered together. And it has been the most beautiful experience of my life to just even watch Mike's, but also feel my own path happen and the explosion of goodness that has come out of it. And it doesn't mean that I don't have stuff in my life. It doesn't mean I don't have hard times. It doesn't mean I don't go through things. It's just the way that I am dealing with them is different now. It can't stop me. I feel bulletproof to an extent. And that's a feeling that I always seeked through every escapism possible, every addiction that you could have, sex and love addictions, drugs, alcohol, whatever. I was partying, however I was numbing, right? Like, I don't have to numb anymore. I feel that has come out of me. That has been lifted from me. And I am here and I am able and willing to share this with other people. That's what we're doing. We're sharing our journeys so that, like today, I had a tough day in a lot of ways. There's a lot happening. And I had a client at the end of the day and I healed from meeting with him at the end of the day. I actually healed myself as we met and we went on this little journey together for an hour. And I called Mike. He's like, how are you feeling? I'm like, I feel great. Like, I feel like I'm going through the healing process right now because of this experience just for an hour. So it's remarkable, the whole thing. It's really cool.
It's the most beautiful part of this process is once you learn it, it can be reapplied in a rapid pace in any order and basically where you need to be at that moment. And, as we go through different circumstances, situations, and everything else daily, it really, it just keeps proving itself true. I mean, and trust me, they're not easy. Just because I've done them before and I've done them in a deep way doesn't mean that allowing is easy, because I have never realized how much I try to control myself.
Control is huge. Control is a huge one. Which
in turn led me to control outside circumstances, situations, and everything else. And and it's just this, like, I think we spent like a week one time just going through all the different ways that we try to control our own lives to try and become more self-aware about it, because it's really, allowing is so hard to do when you're controlling anything. So we had to go through this self-awareness process of figuring out exactly what we're controlling.
And getting present.
Yeah, and getting present. And, the controlling part it's so almost subliminal because we don't realize it. You really don't even realize that's what we're doing, or we don't realize what we're doing, because
it's usually your subconscious at work, right?
It is our subconscious behaviors and patterns that were programmed into us through raising, what we've conditioned ourselves, and everything along the line. But, and it always tries to bring us back to patterns and behaviors of, what we've done our whole lives. So being self-aware is so important, and being self-aware is crucial to being able to, take this journey and live in it.
And you might be thinking right now, I'm self-aware, but like, I promise you're probably not. Like, I don't mean to say that rudely, but like, pretty much you're not. Like, most people are not as self-aware as they think they are. So walking through this process has been really eye-opening for everybody I've worked with, and just especially me. Like, I definitely, when I was heart-centered and I would say, I'm ready, and you would be like, no, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. And I thought I was so aware of everything and so present in the moment. And I just look now and I'm like, no, you weren't yet. There's my dryer, love it during the live. Yeah, always something. So, going through these steps, and like you said, it's like important to to break it down. And like, you can, any situation in your life, you can walk through these steps and they don't necessarily even have to go in order.
Right.
You have to, I would say though, like if we're talking about in order, you have to begin where you are. Like when B is first for a reason. You have to be met and you have to meet yourself where you are. So getting to know yourself and building your self-worth is what has gotten me through to healing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree 1,000,000%, right? It's a lot of it is self-worth and understanding our own personal value, what we bring to the table, giving ourselves credit, appreciating our growth, appreciating every step. And honestly, once you get past a certain space in your healing journey, they all sort of mesh together because they all overlap and they all tie in. And I really want to explain something that we haven't really explained yet at all on any of these lives. And we've done a lot of these lives already. I mean, I've lived a lot of lives, but this is the life.
This world tour is a lot of lives.
Right. So the way that we're looking at breaking this down is obviously one-on-one coaching is, for argument's sake, the most direct way and you're going to get the most benefit. But we really wanted to do something to reach everyone and give everyone access, which is where the groups came in. And they truly are exclusive, invite only. We have handpicked people based on our perception of where they're at, how they engage, where they interact, direct conversations with them. And we're choosing people that are all want to be on this path and want to find fulfillment, because this is going to be a safe space either for men or women, right? Because there's going to be the two separate groups. And we're going to be digging into some deep vulnerability, we're going to be deeply vulnerable. And I'll just, go that way. And what we're going to do in the groups is we're going to slowly go through all of it. We're just going to take our time and ease people through the process. And then we also have the Clubhouse, right, which we do our Clubhouse Room every Wednesday morning at 9:30 Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Because by 9:30 at night Eastern, I'm pretty much asleep. So there's nothing happening that late. But then we have the Clubhouse Room, which we're basically just having hour-long open conversations about each letter on a weekly basis. And then we have the Soul Center Experience live show, which starts next Tuesday. And that's going to be, hey, Laura.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be...
That's 7:30 p.m. on Tuesdays, and then
and that's going to be going with an individual guest, going through a letter that we intuitively decided that their story fit the best in the way to reach the most people.
So we've picked and booked everyone through November, through our shows for the next several months.
Yes,
go through the letters and get into this in depth. And I mean, I think both ways, with group sessions as private as well as one-to-one, is really, both have their strengths in many, many ways. I think that, when you get that community engagement with like those people that have the openness and willingness to see themselves and examine and excavate and allow and go through, you're going to feel, that sense of community and that interaction and that love with one another and that vulnerability, and have that safe space and that ability to sort of feel, like I said, that community engagement feeling. So that's going to be different than our one-to-one. But we're still taking people through the breath framework, and it's still just a remarkable process. I mean, I hate to say like we invented this amazing thing, but we kind of did. Like it's really, we created this like amazing thing based on the struggles and the pain that we've gone through. That's pretty remarkable, I have to say, if I may say so myself. So, I love the fact that we get to share this with the world. This is a really cool, I wake up every day excited to face life. And I don't know how many of you feel that, but I did not always feel that. There were times when I wished the sun wouldn't come up because I couldn't face another day. There were times that I was so dark in my life that I saw in black and white. I did not see in color anymore. The color was taken away from me, and I saw in black and white. That's how depressed I was. So I have seen the darkness. There's very little that people tell me that I haven't been through, gone through, empathize with, sympathize with, so that's me and Mike too, meeting people where they are. My gratitude alarm's going off. Isn't that an interesting time? So what I'm trying to say is, so this goes off every night at 8:00, always usually at the start of my show, but now we're at 7:30, so it's in the middle of the show. But I am so incredibly grateful. I know that people overuse this word, but I have to bring it up. I'm so incredibly grateful that I get to do this every day of my life as a job and a career, and that we have built this system, partnership, company, organization, whatever we are making right now that is happening right before our eyes, making this, stepping into this soul center and wholeness, creating this soul center experience. I am so grateful for it. Like, there's nothing that this is amazing. It's amazing to wake up every day psyched for life, because trust me, as I just said, there were so many days I didn't wake up like that. Most days I didn't wake up like that. And now I can't even sleep past 5 a.m. because I'm honest to God, I can't make this up. I am psyched to take on life, like every day. And that is so much to do with this, what we're working on and what we're building.
And to think it's all because a stranger reached out and sent a message on March 5th of last year.
And I was in the midst of such craziness in my life. I was graduating from my executive MBA. Life was in just really crazy at that time. I didn't have time to breathe, let alone to reach out to anyone. So I don't really remember what came over me that made me, I wasn't reaching out to people on LinkedIn. So I don't know what came over me, but something made me, this is divine, something made me reach out and say, and it wasn't some deep, profound, long message. It was, everything's going to be okay. Like, I just needed to tell you that. And then the next day it was. Yeah,
it was very serendipitous. It was the universe speaking to both of us. It was, there's a reason that the universe pushes two people together at a certain point in time. And I truly believe that in every way possible. And, it's always reasons bigger than ourselves, right? And again, I mean, this is just a beginning, right? Like, I mean, we're talking about, we're 16 months into this journey. Like, this is just a beginning. I can tell you how much my life has changed in 16 months. Like, I don't even recognize myself anymore. I'm just a completely different person. My kids are completely different because I've evolved and they've evolved just by being around me and my energy, and they're healing as I'm healing. And it's been this magical experience. And at the end of the day, all we can do is inspire others to be self-inspired, right? And want to find it for themselves.
But you know what people ask about a lot, Mike? They ask about the word align. Remember when Jairus brought that up? He's like, you talk about aligning a lot. You talk about things aligning. So I want to get into a little bit about align and what that means to both of us. So for me, I didn't truly align and step into this soul center until about the January, February frame of this year. Like, that's how recent it was. So like, and Mike would always say to me, you're going to do amazing things. And he would tell me, but you're not ready. You're not ready. And I didn't understand. And I was searching for this big corporate job that was going to make sense for me because I just got my MBA, and like, it just nothing made sense. And then all of a sudden, a couple of events happened. I met with my dad about business, and it was because Leib LLC was always like this little side consulting firm. It was this side business to make ends meet and to make things work, right? And like, you were just ready for me. So when I made that decision and I leaned in to my core values and leaned into this idea that we were making something humongous, and all these little things we've been doing over 16 months have added up to that, that's when everything aligned. That's when when I truly allowed, when I let go. Because I was like this for a long time. Okay, all right, we got it. So I was like trying to strangle this thing we were doing, just to control it. I have to do this piece here and this piece here, and then I can move here, and then I can get this money, and then I can see this client, and none of that worked. It just made me like this. So when and then allowed, I see it in front of me right now, trying to explain it to you. I wish I could draw. I'm just not really good.
It was the beginning of March, by the way.
Right. But that's when things really aligned. That's when things totally aligned. it had to happen up until that point. Like it, okay.
No.
Okay.
No, not at all.
Okay. So
No.
everything aligned in March and we leaned into this heavy, and now it's launching these programs and seeing so many clients I don't know what to do with. And now it's all happening. So it happened very quickly. When you allow, this is what happens.
But keep in mind, there was a lot of buildup towards it. The framework, the frame of what we were planning on doing was already there, right? When we created Living with Anitude, it was at a place where this is where we're headed. And then both of us took a couple detours and kind of went off the rails a little bit. And it stalled out, but it was always on that path. And we just had to get back on that path. And
I didn't know my mission and purpose until the beginning of March. When I leaned in and when I really just let go, that's when I figured out that this is my mission and purpose in life. Yes, to be a mother, and I'm an awesome mom, and I have the best kids, and, life is great. But I mean, obviously, everybody has their stuff, but like when I figured out my mission and purpose of being here, which is this, that changed everything for me, everything.
Yeah, when that light bulb went off, it was finally like I sat here and I'm just like, oh, thank God.
Thank God I can't take it for one more day.
I don't know how much more I could take, but it was just waiting for it to go off. And when it did go off, it was like, oh, it was the easiest part ever.
Well, as we all know, I have to do things on my own time.
Yes. Annie has her own timeline.
I do.
Just like Randall does when he goes for walks. Yes.
Exactly. Randall and I are very similar. Randall's my pit bull who is a rescue. And we have a recent experience. I don't know if a lot of people have seen my post, but I don't know if the people watching have seen. But Randall recently, a couple weeks ago, decided that whenever he feels like it, he's going to stop walking wherever he is and lie down. That could be in the middle of a busy street. He just lies down and he's 65 pounds of muscle. I cannot lift him and there is no moving him. Even a prong collar, like those inhumane looking collars, will not move this dog. I have taken picture after picture after picture to show this. I put it in a GIF to show how often this dog just plops down. He puts his legs back and he's just this muscular like thing that just lays there. And I'm like talking to him and I'm pulling him and I'm pulling him. And this has gone on for weeks to the point of like driving me insane. Like people will drive by laughing and gawking, but it's not friggin' funny. Like,
no.
I have shit to do. So I don't have 45 minutes 3 times a day to walk the dog. But this dog, so what I started doing, all right, I didn't decide this. I got really mad one time and I threw the leash down and I walked away. And what did he do? He got up and he started running to follow me and he chased me. So when I let it go, when I said I can't control this anymore, here you go. See you, Randall. I'm taking you back to North Philly, which is totally an empty threat because I would never do that. But I did say I'm taking him to North Philly. I told him I'm taking him to the pound where he's from. And he got up and started chasing me. And now that's my go-to. If he won't walk, which I mean, you could pull as hard as you want. He could be choking from the prong. He doesn't care. Does not faze him. So
the stubbornness runs deep.
It's true. My go-to is to walk away and then he will follow me. But Mike's whole point is that he keeps saying to me, that's you, Annie, that's you. It didn't matter what I said. It doesn't matter what anybody did. It's just you were going to do it on your own time. And that's Randall. He just does it on his own time.
Yep.
And I had to discover that lesson of allowing and letting go of control and saying, peace, I'm out of here. Fine. Do what you need to do. And then the dog follows me every time.
Yep.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating and hilarious when I look at the pictures. But when I have to be somewhere, when I have a client in 5 minutes and I'm sweating and like angry at this dog that doesn't talk and he's looking at me with these soulful eyes and he won't move. And like, did you ever see a dog like when they put their paws like back like a frog, like splayed back? I call him a frog. Like he just like lays down like on a double yellow line street. This isn't like a neighborhood cul-de-sac. It's like a busy road. And I can't get him to move. And he's just wants to do it on his own time. So Mike compares me to the dog all the time.
Well, it's not much different than the lessons I learned from Sid, which is really the humor in it all, right? Because, I constantly get tested to learn to allow. And apparently I'm doing good with allowing today because she's nowhere to be found.
Don't jinx it. But what you just did was compare me to a 3-year-old and a dog. I'll have you know. That's what Mike thinks of me. You're three and you're a dog.
Patterns and behaviors.
Patterns and behaviors like a 3-year-old and a dog. It's fine. I can take it. The bottom line is when you actually stop and you begin where you are, you take your power back, you reclaim your power, you figure out what your core values are and you align with them. You allow and you stop controlling. You go through, then you get to heal. And that's where I am.
Yes.
And guess what? Recently, Randall has been pretty good on his walks. Past day or so, he has been remarkably good. So I don't know if he's seen me get to my wit's end or he knows he's going back to North Philly. And right now he lives in Penn Valley, which is a beautiful area. So he needs to check himself. But, either way, I realized that I needed to step back and allow. And when I did that on my journey, I got to a place of fulfillment that I've never felt in 42 and a half years. So.
It's interesting as we go on this journey, the lessons that we start realizing your lessons, right? It's really simple things that most of us really look past on a daily basis, and the lessons are so simple but so direct. It's unbelievable, and it's funny how that react.
So true. That's what I say, Kenny. I'm like, dude. I call him dude. Like if people saw me, they would be like, what is wrong with her? You're screaming, your veins are popping out of your neck screaming at this dog. And he's just looking at me like, I don't want to go. I'm not gonna, right now. I'm not gonna do that.
No.
So
no interest.
Whenever you want to chill, Mom, then I'll go.
Right.
And the truth of the matter is I don't realize I'm doing it, but I guess I'm the same way. And I do things on my own time, no matter how much it's said to me, what's done to me, what's in front of me. I just do things on my own time. So everyone around me has to adjust, just like I adjusted to Randall.
There's a reason you always say I'm one of the most patient people on the planet. So
you're very, very patient. And I am not a very patient person. So I appreciate you. I do.
But as we're rolling into this soul center and things are evolving daily and it's growing and expanding and, we're sharing this message and we're teaching people and showing people what we're working on. It's really not for the faint of heart. We're not looking for people that want to dip a toe in the water. We're not looking to make money off people that have no interest. This is, if you want to do this and you want to change your life, and you want your world around you to change, because it will.
Quickly, too.
Then ask. Then reach out, because we're going to help you get there. And we're going to show you from our own experience. I mean,
who goes on a world tour like this and does 20 shows in 14 days or something insane like that?
It's something nuts.
2 insane people that really want to help other people.
Yeah, that's true.
I think he means me. Find them with Annie daily and Mike each week as they share their hearts and souls with me. It's amazing. Thank you, Brad.
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, I don't post. So I refuse to post. I'm on strike. I'm
not, obviously.
No, obviously not.
Insane can be good, Adam. You're right. Adam, I'm embracing the insanity.
There is a very thin line between insanity and, living. And
nice. That's an amazing quote, Mike.
Is it?
There's a thin line between insanity and living. It's so true.
It is. And, DJ's full on board. And, this is not a journey for the faint of heart. It just isn't. This is something that, you got to want to be a part of, and you got to want to do the work, and you got to want to learn about yourself, and you've got to be willing to face yourself. Because this isn't about us teaching you and
or doing it for you.
Right, or doing it for you. This is about us showing you a path for you to find your own way. Because you don't want to get where I am. You don't want to get where Annie is. You want to get where you can be. You want to get to your personal freedom, your fulfillment, you want to find that peace, that inner peace. And we can help you get there for yourself. And that's what this journey is about, right? This is something that will grow and evolve over time. And as we continue our journey, our story, our, whatever you want to call it, it's going to keep evolving and growing and expanding. And it's a very enlightening experience. It's a very magical experience, and your life will change forever. I mean, it really will. And if you don't believe in magic, then you really need to look at this, because the
Oh,
magic.
trust me, we're building every day too.
Oh, we are building every day. I'm on strike for posting.
He just means
I'm on
he's
strike for
posting on LinkedIn.
I refuse to post. I choose not to.
We don't need to get into that. You've posted enough.
Yeah, I have.
We got you.
This is a path. This is a path that you find your own magic, and as you evolve and change, the world around you does. Yeah, we do call you.
I do. I might call you on your shit.
Yeah.
But thank you, Brad. Appreciate the support. So if you're watching the replay, let us know in comments what your thoughts are, questions that you have. But we have to wrap it up, Mike. We have another show.
We do. We have a show right after this.
So,
me, you, and Darren.
This is what we do, because the day started at 4:30. So why not 4:30
Yeah.
a.m.? So why not go till whatever time when more and more lives? But this is different. This is a world tour. This is like, we're going at it. We're launching this incredible thing, and every day is exciting. So I'm running on fumes, but they're good fumes right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I just pass out on the couch drooling whenever I shut my computer. Whenever I close my computer, I'm still getting my 6.5 hours.
So thank you for being with us, Mike. Thanks for joining, letting me lead tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I know how hard that is for you to do.
Yeah.
And thank you for being here with me and going on this journey with me every day. It's amazing.
Thank you for finding me.
You're very welcome. So everyone, I don't have an outro yet. We got to make a Soul Center outro. Julie, here we come. I'm just going to say peace. Thank you for being here.
Oh, no.
You can find us on LinkedIn.
Bye, everyone.
And everywhere else.
And everywhere else.